So a warm welcome today to Hrish, who's the CEO of SuperWorld. It's a leading NFT platform powering the tokenization of the metaverse and a leader in the digital economy. We are now in our second session on our Unit Masters program, where we're inviting speakers each week to talk about the progress in the token economy and yeah, please put your hands together. A warm welcome. Yep. So we'll start off today. If maybe give a quick introduction as to maybe where you're from. To talk a little bit about SuperWorld, then we can start off with some questions, please.
Yeah, sure. So thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. I really love what you are doing and just the change and positivity that you're bringing into the world. So thanks again, all of you for putting this on. It's a pleasure and honor to be part of it. So my background, just I was born in India, grew up in the United States, went to college in Houston at Rice University, lived in Europe between college and grad school. I lived in Madrid, Paris, and London. Went to grad school in Chicago. Always loved the world. Always grew up traveling. So even before I started SuperWorld, I would say it was always in my heart, to love the world and cultures. And so SuperWorld, just honored to be able to help build SuperWorld. Went to grad school in Illinois. I was doing an MD, MPH, MBA, so a triple degree. I'm Indian, so that was like normal, I guess, for my mom. But I ended up doing the MBA and really loving it and going in this path less traveled. So I ended up in business. Did investment banking. If I did management consulting and then investment banking on Wall Street, I was at UBS and HSBC and corporate finance, public finance, and mergers and acquisitions in New York. And then got into venture capital in New York, investing across tech and biotech. About 12 years ago, I had a crazy idea, probably one of my first crazy ideas, which was, wouldn't it be cool to start a venture capital fund somewhere in the emerging markets? I got on a plane, didn't know anyone, went to Ukraine, and then I went to Russia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Moldova. Took me about a year and a half, but I ended up getting backed by Victor Pinchuk. Victor's a big LP. He's the guy who backs Yuri Milner. Yuri put in 500 million to Facebook. So he backed me into starting a venture capital fund in Ukraine. We invested in about 35 companies out there. Preply is one of our companies. They just did a Series B round. They're the largest online tutoring marketplace in the world. Also did Promo Republic, and then did the same thing in Belarus. I'm on the board of Tech Minsk, which is early stage investor backed by the US State Department in Minsk, Belarus. And then after that, was early at a company called TopTal, which is a talent marketplace backed by Andreessen Horowitz. It's the #1 talent marketplace now in the world. It's a unicorn company. So that was a great experience for me, learning how to be scrappy, build a team, grow a team, and scale. And then 5 years ago, I started Rogue Initiative Studios, which is a film, television, gaming, and virtual reality studio in Hollywood. My co-founder produced Call of Duty, Modern Warfare series, and Ghosts. And my partner is Michael Bay, the action director. And so at Rogue Initiative, what we do is we do franchises that go across feature film, television, gaming, virtual reality, all the way to amusement park rides and toys. So the idea there is, bring the best in feature film, the best in interactive, the best in television, create new original content, and then do a feature film, a television show, organically go across mediums and create franchises. And basically what happened was about 4 years ago, PokemonGo came out, became this huge sensation. A lot of people don't know that it was the fastest company in history to hit $1 billion in revenue. And a lot of other people don't know that this was their best year ever. So Niantic is the name of the company. They've been doing extremely well. And about 4 years ago, I got together with my co-founder, Max Woon. Max and I used to work together on the YouTube platform. So we have another media company in our background. And we thought, you know what, why don't we build a world? And so that was, if we can't build the next PokemonGo, let's build a place where the next 1,000 PokemonGos gets built onto it. So that was kind of the vision of SuperWorld. And just so you know, Max's background is he did Xfire and sold it to Viacom, but he's also done Fizzle, Sliver, Skit, and Toonstar, all venture-backed companies. Sliver and Toonstar are both in the immersive space. And then he worked with Stephen Hawking at Cambridge prior to that. So super smart guy. And we, work together. We kind of have a very strong complementary skill set. And so that's kind of how we did it. So.
Amazing. And I guess for the people who love to learn more about SuperWorld, like how would you share about it or explain how can people get involved? Like,
Sure. So SuperWorld's a virtual world mapped on top of the real world, where you have a world, I have a world, brands have worlds. These are all filters on top of the real world. There could be an infinite number of filters. And so the first part of that analogy is PokemonGo, which is adding digital information to the real world. So if I come to Bali or Munich or London or Paris or Tokyo, anywhere in the world for that matter, you could say, Hrish, you know what? Just check out my world. And I could walk around and you've left me things. You've left a hologram of yourself somewhere. You've left photos and videos in different places. You've left messages at your favorite restaurants about what I should eat and drink. You've personalized the real world in augmented reality. Again, there's an infinite number of filters on the world. So first part of the analogy is PokemonGo. The second part of the analogy is Foursquare. So the Foursquare of that analogy is data. And so on the data side, we really believe in permissioned use of data. We believe in data integrity, data sovereignty. A lot of you might have seen the movie Social Dilemma on Netflix, which is all about, how people are kind of in these data algorithms bubbles, and they kind of are doing things based on what these algorithms are kind of telling them to do and think. And at SuperWorld, we really want people to have permissioned use of their data. As I said, we want to use data and to improve people's lives. It's really important to us. And so we also want to use data to improve the real world. So what does that mean? So it means that when you use SuperWorld, we want you to earn crypto just for using SuperWorld. And also we want to take that user activity and benefit the real world. So as an example, we're planting a tree every time someone buys a plot of virtual land in SuperWorld. And so we're looking at a lot of things that, by using SuperWorld, how do we benefit the real world? Because without the real world, what's the point, right? So, we really want to do that at SuperWorld. It's very important to our mission, is how do we build a better world? And then the third part of SuperWorld is monopoly. And so what that means is we've divided the surface of the earth into 64 billion virtual blocks. Each block is a unique digital asset. If you buy a block, you get a share of any of the economics that happens there: advertising, e-commerce, digital commerce, data, analytics, anything that we can attribute to revenue. And so unlike Facebook and Google, you can buy SuperWorld, you can own it, we're decentralized. And then on top of that, we're building applications. So we have a mobile app that allows you to create, discover, and monetize anything, anywhere. That's in open beta, it's out in the App Store. But we're also very soon, even maybe this week, launching a full NFT marketplace. So you can create digital assets out of anything and put them into augmented reality, into SuperWorld. People are already doing that using open beta from other platforms. So they're creating NFTs somewhere else, and they're putting those NFTs into SuperWorld. And even I think this Sunday, a whole group of artists is getting together in Central Park just on their own, and they're doing this art show that is going to happen in Central Park digitally, but you can access that from anywhere in the world. So that kind of stuff's happening. And then again, we're building a developer API so other apps can build on top. And then we're moving into tokenization and decentralized finance as well. So it's a whole world, lots of stuff going on. And back to your question, really welcome everyone to get involved. We have something called Team SuperWorld, which is on our website, which allows anyone to spread the message, earn free real estate, earn crypto, for being involved. It's a movement. So it's not about the technology, even though there are a lot of technologies involved in SuperWorld. Really the overarching mission of SuperWorld is how can we all get together and put all our creative energies together, our technical smarts and build a better world, improve humanity. And so as the technology gets better, we'll leverage the technology, but that is our mission.
Amazing. And like for someone who's new to NFTs, non-fungible tokens, how would you explain like how they could use it, or why it's interesting, why they should care about it or do something with it?
Yeah, sure. So non-fungible tokens are digital assets that have authenticity, transferability, can be programmed in a variety of different ways, often to allow the creator to get paid every time that asset is resold. So again, there's a variety of different characteristics that are inherent in the blockchain. Transparency, being one of the major ones, a lack of needing a third party in the transaction. You can directly trade peer to peer, and a lot of different aspects of the characteristics of NFTs are still evolving, because they're very new technologies. But I would say that in terms of use cases, anything that you can think of can really be created into an NFT. So we're seeing digital art as a very often first use case of this, or art in general. Even on the physical side, you can buy the digital NFT and get access to the physical artwork. But we're just seeing the first house being sold as an NFT. Experiences are being sold as NFTs. But really what you're doing is you're taking a collectible, like a baseball card, as an example, which again is a huge industry, or any of the collectibles industries, and any of those collectibles out there, and you're creating a digital version of it, which has benefits, right? You don't have to worry about the wear and tear, the authenticity of it. Is this real? Is this being counterfeited? The transaction happens, it's done. You don't have to worry about the party that you're working on the transaction with. Is this payment going to be made? This is all on the blockchain. So if you think about it, and there are a lot of collectors of all kinds of things in the world, and NFT technology enables them to do what they love in a way where you just taken out a lot of the friction, and really improve the product, whether you're talking digitally or non-digitally. So some people just think of it as, oh, this is just digital, why do I want to collect digital art? But the same technology can be applied to anything around us in the world. And that's what SuperWorld's about.
Amazing. And in terms of your vision, like what would you like, the NFT non-fungible token space to move towards in the next 3 to 5 years, or SuperWorld to progress to become? Like, where do you see it going?
Yeah, so what's really interesting, and Michael and I've known each other for a while, and Yip and Petra and others. Great, one of our advisors, Will Burns, on this call, who actually defined the word metaverse. We've been around for a while now, about 4 years, and been in the NFT space pretty early. And the one thing that I see that's very encouraging is, I think three years ago, when I would talk about NFTs, people would think I was crazy or something. Even people who knew about blockchain, they're like, oh, why would anyone be interested in crypto kitties? Or well, that was kind of the best example of an NFT back then. But somehow it's become cool, right? Which is awesome, right? It's become, digital art's kind of gotten into the space, and music and Hollywood, and so that's really awesome, because that it's gotten that cool factor. I think people are realizing that the technology has very strong fundamentals to it. So it's not just kind of a trendy thing, even though you hear it in the news, like, oh, is this the latest trend or whatever? I think NFTs, when people really examine the technology and what's possible, we're just at the beginning of it. And, I think in our vision for SuperWorld, we're an NFT powered world. our base layer is an NFT. So you can, when we sell real estate in SuperWorld, you know, you're buying NFTs, and then we're putting NFTs in the NFTs, right? You can create NFTs and put them into SuperWorld. And so it's really, and then we're online and offline. We cover the whole surface of the earth. And so anything that you buy in the physical world, you know, whether it's an NFT or not an NFT, is part of SuperWorld, right? Because we're offline as well. And so really, you know, I think to that question, you know, again, SuperWorld is often described as an NFT powered world. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because I think, you know, even though SuperWorld doesn't have to be NFTs, I mean, our base layer is NFTs. You don't have to work with NFTs. You can just use content as is. I think the NFT structure gives any content creator a lot of benefits. And so I would say that you're going to find a lot of hybrid models where, you know, influencers and creators and educators and, you know, artists are going to use NFTs, and they're going to use not NFTs for other reasons. There's other reasons that you don't want to create NFTs, like you want to, you know, have something be free and open, and, you know, you don't want to necessarily have certain restrictions. And so I think that's what's going to happen is, you know, a lot of things that make sense are going to be NFTs, whether you're talking about a movie ticket, a ticket to a concert, maybe an entrance to a conference like this or a school, and other things are going to be just as we know them, you know, content, or, you know, just not on the blockchain.
Amazing. We have a nice question from Anki. Can you elaborate a bit more on how people can monetize their virtual property in SuperWorld, please?
Sure. So again, if you own a plot of land in SuperWorld, the idea is that you get a share of anything that happens on that plot that produces revenue. So you get, you know, share of revenue from any user activity that happens on the plot in the infinite number of filters of the world that exist there. So not only your world, but any of the other worlds. And so specifically, you know, as an example, we're very soon launching this NFT salon, as I mentioned, the NFT marketplace. And so now that's allowing lots of users to create NFTs, and those NFTs are going to go places. And, you know, as an example, on Sunday, and if you want, I can do a screen share of something and show you an example of what's happening in New York. Okay, so, you know, in New York this week, I'm going to pull it up. Give me a second. But there's an art fair going on, I think I mentioned, in Central Park. And so there's artists that are getting together, and they're taking their NFTs and they're putting them there. And so right now we haven't turned on monetization. So this is just an example of kind of like what's happening or what people are doing on their own. But here, I'm gonna share my screen. Let me see if so I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is a tweet of a guy selling an NFT in Times Square, right? So he's an artist, and he's put his NFT in Times Square. And then if I keep going up, I can see his other tweet here. So this is the Central Park picnic party. And, you know, there's another one here, but I don't know if the media, it's not, for some reason, it's not being displayed on Twitter. But long story short, they're taking artwork and he's putting it on his land in Central Park, right? So he owns part of Central Park in New York. And so he's getting all these artists together and saying, hey, look, let's do an art fair in Central Park. And they're all taking their NFTs and they're putting them into augmented reality into Central Park, okay? And when we have our NFT salon launched, those NFTs will be bought and sold at that location, creating revenue. And so if you own that plot, you're getting a share of any of the revenue that's produced there from those sales. And that could include, again, that's digital commerce, but it could be e-commerce affiliate revenue. It could be gaming revenue. So you can build a game on top of SuperWorld as well, you know, There could be online to offline revenue. So as we look at saying, hey, if you're in this location and you went to this restaurant is connected to our SuperWorld platform because the users came in through SuperWorld, maybe because they virtually accessed it, or they're physically there and they back to PokemonGo, they tapped on something that activated a coupon or a deal at a restaurant. So again, you have this online offline type of situation similar to PokemonGo. So those are all kind of the ways. And in SuperWorld, you can actually own the locations, right? So if you think of back to PokemonGo, lots of revenue being produced all over the world. What if you could actually own the places where that revenue is being produced and get a share of it? I hope that answers the question.
Amazing. That's super interesting. Nice question for you. How do the two concepts, monopoly and decentralization, work in one hand? In what ways does SuperWorld ecosystem operationalize or bring to life the concept of decentralization?
Yeah, so just to be clear, the monopoly analogy is like the game Monopoly. So some people are like, wait, is that like a monopoly, like like an economic monopoly or something like that? But no, in this case, it is like the game where you can own properties. And the fact that we're on the Ethereum blockchain is what makes it decentralized. We're structured as ERC 721 tokens, and enable anyone to again buy and own plots of land in SuperWorld outright. And that's what decentralization is. So you own the plot, you own that ERC 721 token that gives you access to SuperWorld. And then we have other aspects of our business that are also decentralized. So again, we're moving into further tokenization in the next 10 weeks or so. So later this summer is the plan. And then we're moving into decentralized finance as well. So you can access the capital markets in a decentralized fashion. So again, if you think of buying real estate in the real world, and that giving you the ability to access different financial mechanisms, I think the same thing applies here in SuperWorld. There's a variety of ways that you're going to be able to access finance as a real estate owner, as a creator of digital assets, as well as a user. So we again want to create an ecosystem that is decentralized in many different ways, but also for those people that want to create centralized types of content and non-NFT related content, that's also definitely a big part of SuperWorld.
Amazing. And you mentioned DeFi. Like, how would you explain the concept of DeFi or decentralized finance, and what makes you excited about it, and what's it going to change in the world? How can people be a part of it?
Yeah, so I mean, again, decentralized finance is, it can get pretty complicated, but I'd say a very high level understanding of it. I come from an investment banking background, and the world, economic system, and a lot of the everything we do in the world when it comes to finance is pretty centralized outside of what's happening in the crypto world. And centralized finance systems are great. There's definite opportunities and reasons why centralization is positive there in different ways. But decentralized finance hopes to improve upon those systems by removing the intermediaries, removing the fees, allowing people to transact more directly. And I think that those advantages are pretty big. But really, I mean, what we're doing is taking the word finance and adding the word decentralized to it, right? So DeFi seems daunting, but really it's just, let's just make it just like everything else in crypto, just more transparent, direct, take out the third parties, take out the fees and the middlemen. And that is the heart of decentralized finance. I mean, as it applies to SuperWorld, again, the best way to think about SuperWorld and the best reasons to if you understand the vision of what we're doing is, first of all, we're very long-term oriented, right? So we've been around this space for a long time, we've been deep in this space. We have a lot of different partners on board in this space. So Outlier Ventures is a partner, Tim Draper and Draper Going Home is a partner. So we have a lot of smart people in this space who are working with us, because there's a lot of complexity here. But the point is if you think of anything that's happening in the real world, we want to make sure you're able to access that in SuperWorld in a virtual form or even the physical form. That's kind of the big vision of how decentralized finance, happens here. And because you're creating assets, because you're owning virtual assets, because you're, whether you're owning physical assets, even you can still use. So it's physical and virtual.
Amazing. A really cool question here from Yip.
Yeah.
If you can give us your description of how you see the evolution of the internet over the past 2 decades and how you're seeing it disrupting society. What is it that you see in many others, that many others in your environment are yet to see? If SuperWorld succeeds, how is everyday life different in 2030?
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's been a variety of trends in internet and mobile and social over the last 30 years. I think the internet was one of those phases. I think we moved into this kind of social layer in the 2000s and until now. I think mobile phones accelerated that, giving us kind of locational, local, social, local kind of aspects to that. With Uber and Airbnb and other companies kind of riding that wave. And I think Web3, which is the decentralized web, is enabling us to do much more for the benefits I spoke about earlier. And I think that as we think about the future of the web, and again, Will Burns here, one of our advisors, has been living in this world. He defined the metaverse for the IEEE. I think we're moving into a world where you're going to get a variety of these ecosystems coming together, whether they're ecosystems based on technology or different ideologies. You see these kind of ideas of virtual nation states, virtual societies coming together. And I think that on the technology side of that, as we get into immersive computing, as we get into the addition of blockchain and NFTs into immersive computing, I think you're getting into fully immersive contextual environments, AR, VR, XR, whatever. Yeah, they're all coming together. And, again, I think that they're all going to be interconnected. We're very open at SuperWorld, right? We're building a very open ecosystem. It's the overall metaverse, the bigger metaverse out there, which we're part of, is going to have different parts to it. We're going to be the open part of it, and that's kind of how we see SuperWorld. I mean, SuperWorld's really about your real life, So whatever you're doing in your real life, that's where we want to be. We don't want to suck you into SuperWorld. We want to come to you and enhance your real life. And then if you do want to go further into the metaverse, we think SuperWorld could be a way of starting that journey into the other aspects of these technologies and these societies that are going to come together over the next few decades.
Amazing. And like, what excites you most about SuperWorld? Like, when you think about how it's gonna revolutionize the way that people interact with the metaverse, or the fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, decentralized finance? Like, what makes you feel that this is something that's really revolutionary or exciting? And
Yeah, so again, SuperWorld is something I think that we're all very passionate about. It is a movement. It is not just a technology. It is a movement to improve people's lives and improve the world. And that in of itself is awesome. So I'd love to do that. I mean, that would be super cool to be able to improve the world, impact people's lives, help people get access. I think there's so many things that you guys are doing at Unit that really also kind of are all kind of based on this same kind of dream and passion to do that. And so I think what gets me excited about it is we have the opportunity to do it, which is great. I think we have a lot of smart people involved in SuperWorld, like Will, and we have Bob Metcalf, who's founder of Ethernet. We have Stephen Wolfram, who's one of the top AI computer scientists in the world. We have a number of people around the world that understand these technologies, understand the potential, want to build a better world. And so I think, first of all, that alignment is very important to the vision. There's a lot of capital out there, which is great to support the mission. And I think that the thing I see when I talk to our super citizens or just prospective customers is, they get really, really excited, right? So when I talk about 50 to 100 conversations a day, and the first thing I hear is just like, when people understand what we're doing, they're just like, their eyes get really big, and that's awesome. That means I'm like, okay, they get it, they understand what we're talking about. So that's awesome. Number two, they tell me they told everyone they know. So the story is very viral. I mean, like yesterday, we were in the New York Times yesterday. They called us. You know what I mean? So we haven't really done any outbound stuff, and so people like hearing the story, like telling the story. I would equate this to, if you were going to take a spaceship to Mars, you would tell everyone you're going to Mars. Like literally, you tell everyone And the same thing here. If you buy land in SuperWorld, you're going to tell everyone that you bought land. You're going to get them to buy land, and you're going to get them on the platform. And that's pretty awesome. And then, I would say the third thing that's really encouraging is everyone has a story. And so if I ask someone, I say, hey, where did you buy land, or where do you own land in SuperWorld? Or, everyone has a reason. Like, where did they buy? Why did they buy? What, did they grow up there? Did they get engaged there? Did they, is this a place that like their family's from? Is there a place that they've always wanted to be from or something? And so we get a lot of people that want to build, like want to create something. And so what's awesome about that, it's very prescriptive for us. It tells us exactly what they want to build, what they are looking for. And then, again, we're just building it. And so again, back to kind of the question is, what gets me most excited is I think we have a big vision, a big plan. We know kind of what we want to accomplish. We have really smart people, very talented, creative, passionate people that are on board, that are partnering with us or getting involved. We have access to capital, that is out there that supports this mission. And again, the people that are in the community, this is all about community again, really are passionate. They're talking, they're telling people, they're spreading the word, and they all want to build. I think there was an article by Mark Andreessen that came out that was famous. I think it was, I forget exactly the year. It was only a few years ago. It was like The Time to Build, I think it was his article, after the Software Eating the World article that he produced years and years back. But it kind of I think we're bringing together a community of builders, people who want to change the world, and I'm super excited about that.
Amazing. And I guess back to your work with Rogue Initiative, like how do you think it's kind of inspired you to to think about, you know, the evolution of the metaverse or even get involved with it? And like, how do you see media progressing? And, you know, with your vast amount of experience, like where's it headed?
Yeah, so I mean, Rogue Initiative is a Hollywood studio. We do commercial franchises, and I think that area or domain of expertise, and I'm always trying to learn about all kinds of stuff, right? So Will and I have lots of conversations, and I have conversations with Bob Metcalf, and just all different people on my board all the time. I think it's an honor and a pleasure to learn from you, Michael, and others, and Yip, and just have lots of conversations with people, because I think everyone has something to offer, and so back to the Hollywood example, I think Hollywood is doing a lot of things that are obviously very groundbreaking and cutting edge, and on the entertainment side of industry in general. And I think that there's a lot happening in the technology world that's very interesting. And I think over the past 10 years, we've seen Silicon Valley and Hollywood get closer and closer together. LA and San Francisco, or Bollywood and Mumbai, or really come together with technology, and you're seeing that with media platforms and the rise of user-generated content and modding, and being able to create interactive content, from linear content to interactive. A Call of Duty game looks like a Michael Bay film, because the film looks like a video game, and the video game looks like a movie because you have Kevin Spacey in it. So things like that are really coming together, and so back to your question, coming from a traditional linear Hollywood background, adding the interactivity to it, and then thinking about that in an immersive sense, VR and AR. I think that it's just a dotted line to how do we end up living in a movie, or creating a movie, or creating this reality, or living in a reality or a movie that someone else has created, in a way that's very native. And you see movies like Ready Player One and others that kind of show off how this is going to happen, or Snow Crash, or books and things that are in this space. So it's very inspirational, but at the same time, I would say that a lot of it just comes from just kind of being in the space. I kind of work at it and learn and kind of develop these thoughts from being around people and thinking, and yeah, so creating. So a lot of it, you learn it from being in a space, but you also kind of come up with it in a way, and then you're like, oh wow, someone else wrote about that, or thought about it. That's kind of fun, right? To be able to kind of I think like an artist, which I'm an artist, and you kind of want to create in a way that is organic too. So you kind of want to learn from stuff, but you also want to just create. And then luckily, sometimes you see those forces coming together, which is fun.
Amazing. Nice question here. What are current challenges for you to make this beautiful vision a reality? How do you deal with these?
Yeah, so I mean, I think thank you. Yep. The vision is I mean, if I were going to go a little deep here, I think that vision is inside all of us, right? I think anything in the world starts with going inside yourself, and so again, if I go back to this being a movement, and we're all creating the movement together, and we're all building SuperWorld together, and we can all have our own virtual worlds, and we can all have a platform that incentivizes our user activity to improve the world and improve our own lives and improve other people's lives. Basically, we're essentially giving tools to people to help everyone improve the world, right? So we're all doing it together. which is cool, right? I mean, that's the goal, is to kind of put these tools, put these technologies in the background for everyone to utilize. And we're building a community of people that want to do that. And you know, it's step by step, you know. So as the technologies get better, back to the challenges question, you know, the technologies need to evolve. You know, certain things on the blockchain specifically are still very new, and so some of those things have, you know, advanced. You know, we see them advance in the last 10 years or whatever. And they're getting better and better. And so some of the things around blockchain or AR, VR, or the hardware. I mean, I think Snap just released some AR glasses recently, last week. Apple's coming out with some. You know, there's a number of other manufacturers that on the hardware side that are coming out with hardware. You know, there's chips that are getting better and better. You know, we're moving into brain computer interfaces. So yeah, I mean, these technology challenges are going to always be improving and lessen those challenges in a way. But I think that there's always going to be new challenges, you know, in a variety of other ways, societally, maybe economically, you know, that, you know, systems, that I think the vision of SuperWorld and what makes us different is we're all about one world. So we're not nationalistic in that way. You know, we're all about everyone coming together to improve the world, improve our lives. And so, you know, some of the things, you know, one of the things I've been told, which is kind of interesting, is, wow, you know, you can't do this in the real world, but we could do this in SuperWorld. You know, and because of politics or society, because we cover the earth, you know, and we're you know, kind of a platform that with this aim. And so we have organizations coming to us, not-for-profits, that are excited about building on SuperWorld or creating content on SuperWorld, because we don't have these you know, potentially political issues that come into play in their own domestic kind of countries, or as countries come together to solve problems. So I think we can work with both, and that's really exciting to me.
Amazing. And I guess being an entrepreneur and starting an investment fund, you know, working as a venture capitalist, how do you think tokens can kind of make a difference to fundraising and, you know, change the way companies are built or projects are funded?
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, you know, coming from the investment banking world, which again is, you know, still very traditional finance. You know, you think of equity capital markets and debt capital markets, and M&A as potential ways of, or just, you know, private placements, et cetera, as ways to, on the equity side, to get capital. And, you know, as you know, as I moved into venture capital, you kind of realize on the early stage side or in the private side, there's a variety of, you know, other structures. I think convertible notes and safe structures kind of added a lot of interesting elements to how do you finance companies and bring in capital from a variety of sources. And, you know, convertible notes and, you know, kind of evolved into safes through the help of Y Combinator and others. And so we've seen a lot of innovation in finance, just in traditional finance over the past like 25 years, at least as long as I've been in it, right? And then you know, through blockchain, you're adding again a lot of benefits from decentralization, from the fact that you can have people all over the world, you know, to have what, you know, there's a variety of structures there on the blockchain side. And when you talk about tokenization, what those rights are, is this an ownership right, or is this some kind of governance token, or, you know, utility tokens? There's a variety of structures there, and there's a lot of you know, I think development going on. I mean, we're trying to come up with novel structures, right, as they apply to metaverses and to virtual worlds and all this stuff. So, or the metaverse and the virtual world. So, I think that blockchain and tokenization takes all of these, innovations that have been happening in centralized finance and really, takes that to another level by removing a lot of those frictions, allows people around the world to be involved, and allows us to, create value, accrete value in novel ways that weren't possible in the traditional centralized finance world. And so, as I'm kind of learning, as always, about what's possible in this space with partners like Outlier and others, I'm excited about how tokenization is going to accelerate development and enable, anyone to be able to build, and and that is really empowering, I think, for builders and entrepreneurs who want to access capital, who want to make something happen. So really, the oftentimes the thing that you hear from entrepreneurs is, oh, only if I had the money, right? And that is, I think, what tokenization will ultimately solve. Is you have the passion, you have the people who want to do it, and you now can get access, if you have the community, to that capital.
Amazing. Such a really nice question here from Kat. What was your happiest moment at SuperWorld before we wrap up for the session? Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. I'm a pretty happy person in general. So, I think happiness is really important in life. You gotta do things that make you happy. I think that's SuperWorld's all about that. SuperWorld's a happy, that's part of the culture, to be happy, like enjoy your life. And so, I'm happy often, like all the time, or I try to be. And so, I don't know if I have a happiest moment. I've never thought of it like that. I think I try to be happy every day, like as much as possible. So, every day is kind of a journey, and even when things are hard or things are challenging, that can be happy too. I mean, it depends on how you think of it. I think everything is how you think of it. Like anything in your life is like how you frame it for yourself. And I think my goal is to always to try to always be in a state of fulfillment. I'm a big Tony Robbins guy, right? So I'm know Tony and see him a few times a year, and it's all about being in a state of joy and trying to be fulfilled and things like that. So that's kind of the stuff I try to subscribe to. And some of that is like physical too, like you got to work out, you got to eat healthy, you got to do all these other things that kind of hopefully help you be in that state. Meditation is very important. Being also, back to Yip's comment earlier, like is like, I guess, setting up your life in a way that you're kind of being able to live in a way that you're not blocked by other things in society that potentially kind of have this contradiction to what you want to do. So, really kind of align yourself with what you want to do. And so again, I try to do that. And that's, I think, what kind of keeps the happiness, kind of growing. So so it's hard to say there's one thing, but I think it's every day. So, thank you. Yeah, good question.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Really grateful and appreciative. And looking forward to see you in the future soon and speaking more. We're just gonna go into breakout rooms now, so I'll
Sure.
create rooms and